going on a cruise thing is and getting sick afterwards is kind of like the con crud that people talk about for going to expos or conventions and stuff like that. You just get like that weird light sickness.
It's I
Hopefully it's
sound
a light
I,
sickness, but
I
yeah.
sound it, but I don't feel it. I don't feel sick at all. I was actually in the gym this morning, spreading my germs in the gym. You know what? I think it's because I was snoring last night. I woke up and I was like, oh shit, slept hard. But that's what happens. Yeah, cruise life. I fully embraced it. Um, the shows are hit or miss, they're good or they're bad. Um, Lots of food, of course, and Alaska looks a lot like where we live, Mitch, here in Seattle. So wasn't a big difference, but it was good for my family from the Southwest. They really enjoyed it. So,
Was it pretty gray up there, or was it sunny too? Or
oh, it was gray, rainy, windy the whole time.
yeah,
It wasn't sunny until we got back to Seattle.
yeah, it's been pretty sunny here lately. It's been nice.
Oh, so nice yesterday. Yeah, I sat outside for a couple hours yesterday. It was so
Yeah,
good.
I think the whole like multiple fake outs of spring starting is finally stopped. Yeah, so
We'll see.
yeah, for now, knock on wood.
Yeah. All right, we got 10:02. I'd like to get started. You want to go ahead and start recording this?
Yeah, we are. We're good to go.
Oh, we are recording.
I could stop and start it. Hold on one second. Let me get it so you can get it nice and fresh. So,
All right. Good morning. Yeah, welcome once again to Tattoo Business Talks. This is episode 24, I believe.
it is 24.
24 it is. I'm Derek, in the Seattle area. I know most of you know me by now. I think everybody here in the room knows me. Um, yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate it. I wanted to start out today once again with just introductions, kind of going around the room. Um, say who you are, where you're at in the country or world. And hey, James. All right, James getting ready to tattoo, it looks like. I always love when people pop in and they're getting ready to tattoo. Um, and I do have a question of the day today. Um, so we're going to start with the question. I'll repeat it if more people pop into the room. But this one came up for me, especially this past week, talking with quite a few entrepreneurs on the boat that I was on. So I got some good business talks along the way. But question is, what a current challenge you're facing in your shop or your career that you think others here might relate to? I know for some, the list will be long. I'm going to call on somebody. Mitch, you started out this morning.
All right, so the question is, what are some of the current challenges that you're facing with your tattoo business?
What's a current challenge? You can go and
Current
give
challenge.
one or more that you're
Okay.
facing in your shop or career that you think others might relate to.
Okay. Um, the biggest thing for me right now is hmm, uh finding your niche artistically in your style of flash that you're putting out, and uh like bringing those types of clients in instead of folks that just want like small, just line work tattoos, because that's a really popular thing right now, and I totally get it. But yeah, um, it's not really the style that I'm trying to go for. But yeah, I the simple answer is put more of my style of flash out and just keep on pumping it out. But I, other than that, um, that I know I need to do is like there's other stuff too, just like how to gear it towards it. And yeah, just kind of grappling with that. Not trying just to go to make Flash that's popular and just sticking and trying to find your niche, because in the long run, I feel like that's the main goal, and what's going to make you successful is doing stuff that you really are passionate about. So.
Looks like James has his hand up. James, you're next. Thanks for sharing, Mitch.
Oh, thank you. And thank you, Mitch, and thank you, Derek. I'm James. I am tattooing in Indianapolis. I got my client Edward here.
Hey, Edward.
Yeah, so I think well, I hope this isn't out of left field, but like I think like some financial literacy, how to like what are like really effective ways to use credit to leverage sort of your liquidity, right? How much, your exposure to debt versus like, how much liquid you have to keep on hand, these sorts of questions. I'd love to, I don't know, I'd love to have that conversation. How are you all like, managing these sorts of things? I think it's always there's like an ebb and flow to it. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, these sorts of things. But yeah, again, like on the subject of financial literacy and how we can yeah, maybe like leverage our credit, leverage our debt, these sorts of tools. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, James. I could definitely have a conversation about that anytime. So I'm just going to call on people here. Rufus.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Hey everybody, my name is Rufus. I tattoo out of New Hampshire. Been tattooing about 8 years. For me, I was just thinking while everyone was talking, I feel like I want to try to take maybe some stuff off of my plate. So I've been thinking more about the booth rental versus percentage. I feel like maybe the booth rental might take more off of my plate because then they know exactly what they're doing and it's their responsibility for the most part to take care of all the stuff they need to do. So I've just been going back and forth with that one in my head. That's about it at the moment out of the list of things.
It's awesome. Thanks, Rufus. Mickey, you're next.
Well, I can definitely. My name is Mickey. I'm in Montana, and I can definitely empathize with all of those things. I think that figuring out how to get the clients that you want is a giant fucking hurdle, and how to qualify clients so that you're spending your time and energy on the right ones is like, it takes a long time before you're like, okay, well, what do I really want to be doing? And is this going to make me happy that I have a hammer and nails, I'm going to hammer and nail shit. I do that. I'm 23 years in. But at the same time, I want all my advertising and marketing to go towards this is the shit that I really want to do, and then, yeah, finances are still, hit or miss. And as far as booth rental, that's what I'm trying to do too. Like, I want everything off the plate. Everybody has to take care of their own shit. We're all, adult professionals here. I'll help you with the training, what I think that stuff is. And then I probably wouldn't have anything to add to that. I'm trying to manage all that stuff myself too.
Sarah, we're going to call on you.
All right. For me, a thing I'm avoiding or like struggling with in my business is definitely probably what like Nicole was talking about last week is just like keeping up on my taxes and like just being like able to that type of like long term, yeah, keeping up with it and going out and paying it and just keeping it on my, that's my biggest, I think it's been my biggest struggle since I started my career, just keeping on top of that stuff. With my ADHD, I'm always like, oh, I'll do it later, I'll do it later, and then it later comes and I'm like, crap, I need to do this shit now. So
I've been hearing that struggle a lot lately. Sarah, thanks for sharing that. All right, next, Nicole.
Okay. I guess what I'm kind of dealing with is like I just keep feeling like I'm wanting more. Um, I'm wanting like my shop has a very hands-off approach with marketing and stuff. Like yesterday, I had a $0 day, and those never feel good. And it's like there's no like assistance on marketing from the shop. He just kind of lets the shop market itself because it's in a tourist town. And if people show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. But there's no like effort into that. There's no promotion of us as artists there. We're still not even like listed on anything, whether it's a social media website, whatever. It's just kind of like we're flying by the seat of our pants. And I mean, I'm doing what I can to market myself, but when I have a week where I don't have any bookings and I'm relying on walk-ins and I start off my week with a 0, I'm like really defeated. So it's one of those things where it's just like I am starting to get impatient because I really just like deep down, I really just want to be doing my own thing. And I just don't have the capital to sustain that. And I can't. I feel like I'm kind of like stuck where I'm at. Not that it's like a bad gig or a bad shop. Like out of all the shops I've been in, this is the best one I've ever been in. Um, and I've had a rocky 5 years, we'll put it that way. Um, so it's not like I'm complaining or anything like that, but it's still like that like wanting more out of it and like wanting to feel more support or feeling like being supported is even an option. But I just know that he's just set in his ways. He's not gonna like it's not even worth bringing up, honestly. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm currently facing.
Nicole, I can't tell you how many times I've felt that myself throughout my career.
It's so frustrating. Like he won't post our stuff to the Instagram either. Like he has like no desire to even highlight other artists. And it's just like, well, how are people going to know that we're here unless we're doing our thing? But like it's just like it would just be helpful. And I just don't even want to put the energy into fighting it at this point because I just know he'll be like, well, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do, and if you don't like it, you're free to leave. It's kind of like one of those kind of things. So
There was something really key here that you said. I want to do my own thing.
yeah,
That really resonates with me and what you're saying. And it's just like, this is what you're experiencing right now can be the fuel to that fire
yeah,
that you need. I was once in your shoes. And within a short amount of time, within a few months, I was able to open that shop and make that work. And I did it for minimal money. I know many people in the room have done it for minimal money. Rufus.
I was gonna say I was kind of in the same situation a little over a year ago, and it kind of put me in a situation where I was like, all right, I got to figure something out. I literally started my shop with like $2,500 and a year later, and it's doing great. So it's definitely easy to do. I mean, not easy, but possible to do, especially if you have a client base kind of already personally.
not really. I'm
Well, I was gonna
building.
say, so to be the contrarian, it's going to be easier for you to fill an open day, with at least a shop that has a good reputation.
Exactly.
I would almost propose, if you can't fill that day by yourself right now, you're definitely not ready to open up a tattoo shop, right? Because
Right.
you
No, and
might have
that's
any
the thing
support.
too. It's I moved here 10 months ago.
Okay.
Now, I guess one of my questions would be, what did you do to fill the day? Did you are you like taxed out because you hit like your list and everything and you're still fucking goose egged, or?
I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's tough. My my email list is primarily people from a region I no longer live in.
Yeah.
And that's slowly building, but it's like,
Did you hit it?
no.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
working on other things.
yeah, sure. No, I'm just wondering, And again, it's not like you hit the list and all of a sudden like magic happens, although sometimes it does.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm doing the things as best as I can with the energy that I have. So I was putting together a book of Flash so I can do Get What You Get.
Mhm.
Because I know those have always worked out well for like
So,
quick bangers for people.
so the other thing too that kind of helped me is a year prior to all this happening with myself, I started promoting myself as an artist at a shop and just did everything as my own business, my own, Instagram pages. I even had a basic website so people could actually find me, but then they would also point them to the shop that I was at, which might be beneficial for you.
Yeah, I do all that and it works. It does work. But it's gaining that traction in a new region.
Yeah, that's definitely your challenge.
And it's like a lot of the traffic that we do get are people who are not local. So it's hard to get that repeat client base unless they're coming back to travel again. But that could be like a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now. I have been fortunate to have people who have come back within a couple of months. Like they're not super far away. Like maybe they're in New Mexico or, maybe they're down in Phoenix. But yeah. Just, starting over is not easy.
No, that's definitely your challenge.
Uh,
All right. I want to get to everybody else here in the room. I think some discussions I can already see us coming back to for the topic today. Robert.
Hey, I'm Robert. I'm in Olympia, Washington. Thing I've been struggling with is implementing a lot of these things that I've learned and gathered from like these meetings, from talking with other shop owners, just spreading myself far enough to spend time on all these different things. I'm 30 years in, and there's a lot of this stuff that's still brand new for me. So just trying to implement this and realizing, the number of shop owners I've worked with that have never given any sort of guidance. Um, you know, uh, so this, 30 years in, and a lot of this shit is still new to me. Um, and so I'm playing catch up. I'm really trying to, one, actually learn how to run a shop, run myself as a business. I've got one young artist who's only a couple years in. And I've been working with him a lot, and I use my experiences as cautionary tales for him. Like, you know, don't, you know, trying to get him not to get stuck in the position I've gotten myself into, and trying to catch up, and trying to get out of a 90s mindset about tattooing, realizing like, like my clientele, my client base is aging out of getting tattooed. The Gen Xers aren't showing up like they used to, and I gotta shift like who I'm looking for as far as clientele even. So, So yeah, just trying to get time in on all this new information and new strategies and new thought processes. So yeah, just get myself spread thin enough to accomplish all this.
Yeah, we can once again can relate with this 100%. I know when I started shifting my business knowledge into something that was actionable and I can actually use, it was quite overwhelming. Everything that comes at you is just thrown at you, and you think every single thing is so urgent and important that it's extremely overwhelming. So it's a matter of taking it all in. It's for you to really um, get through it all is only going to require one step at a time. Doing it all at once, near impossible. It's too much to juggle. But the actual, so the urgency list and stuff like that will get smaller and smaller as you get more details in. But right now, it's just, a lot of the times the first year it's about just gaining the knowledge around the business, understanding that, like what James brought up with like financial literacy. That's not just like a one-time deal and you're done. It's about the repetition of understanding. It's about really hearing it multiple times over and over again until it sticks, in one thing. And then, of course, becoming very experimental in what you choose to do, because all of it's kind of an experiment until things land for you. You'll hear there's a lot of business gurus or a lot of business books. They sound great and stuff like that, but not everything that you're learning or hearing is going to work for you. You have to find it on your own. So it is kind of part of the journey, but understandable. It is a little overwhelming in the beginning. I will still tell you, it does get easier. It does. Joshua.
What was the initial question? I joined a little late.
Yeah, what challenge in your shop or career right now that you're having that other people in the room could relate with?
So what I've heard so far, Nicole was the last one up. I'm driving, and this is the first time I've ever used Zoom on my phone, so I'm trying to figure that out too. Um, when I've had that recently where I'm just like I'm almost 10 years in. I start my 10th year in December, and every time like I've moved a shop, I'm literally like 30 to 40 minutes away from where I just spent 2 years building a clientele, stuff like that. So, being here where I'm at now, if you guys know anything about Dayton, Ohio, you can throw a rock in any direction and hit 4 tattoo shops, guaranteed. I could probably hit this one on the corner right here, like right down the street from me, literally. So I used to think that it's like, oh, competition, blah, blah, blah. But like, I never tattoo any of their people and they never tattoo any of my people. So what I've been like, I've relied so much in the past year on like Instagram and Facebook, and I'm currently watching our newest artist. She just walks over to this coffee shop, and I swear just by those interactions alone, she's done at least a dozen tattoos. Not all of them were paying, she did a lot of promotional stuff, a lot of, hey, I'm over here now. And she seems to be killing it that way. I have another artist in here who is a little, she's a little bit old school. She doesn't mess with social media all that much, so she relies on a lot of repeat clients and things like that. So I think my struggle with booking is I am getting older. So like the last gentleman said, it's like some of my people are about out, like about out of the realm of getting tattooed all the time and stuff like that. So I just really, what I'm gonna like personally do, just because I'm watching it happen with other artists in my shop, is I'm gonna have to go old school, man. Beat feet, hit the concrete, pass out flyers, business cards, like that whole nine. Like I'm still gonna rely, like we're getting a lot more phone calls and stuff like that from Google and things because of our reviews. And overall, people just love coming here in general. We've only been here about a year and a half, and we already basically are the top shop here in Inglewood and, stuff like that. Aura, my partner, gets a ton of business from TikTok. I can't, I can't take on no more. So I'm gonna go with like the old school route of just hitting coffee shops, passing things out at the grocery store. I had so many people stop me the other day. I've been in South Carolina for a week. Those people don't have many tattoos down there. So I kind of noticed that um we looked for high traffic shops while we were down there, and we still never went. You know what I mean? So like when I think about me as the consumer, like I thought about it, but I don't know them and I don't know anything about them. So we just ended up not going. So what I've just been doing lately is kind of, like I said, hitting the concrete, going into businesses. And the thing that I hate the most is being more personal on my social medias. Anybody can jump on here and find a tattoo on Instagram in less than 10 seconds, and then you can find another one that looks exactly alike as you scroll. So what I've learned in these last 6 months is I like golf. Like people are just, they want to see what I'm doing when I'm golfing and out with the boys and stuff like that. They already know I can tattoo, so I'm working on being that more personal, like letting people in a little bit on my personal life. That seems to be helping, get more views and things like that. But that's really all the thing that I struggle with is I spend like 2 or 3 years at a place building a clientele, something happens, and then I got to leave because the environment isn't good. So that's just, eh, you know, um, that's only 30 minutes, it's not like 2 hours, 3 hours. Now, Aura is from 2 hours away from here, and I swear almost every one of her clients come from Cleveland, Akron, Mansfield, like literally all the way across the state. But what she does in her social media, she makes it so personal and so welcoming to come here, which I know is a hard thing to do with tattooers. Like a lot of us just want to shut up and do art and like we don't want to talk to people and stuff like that. So just that, I think that's that my main struggle, man, is just actively getting out and doing what I did 8 years ago. It's like, man, I got to go back to hitting the bars and the coffee shops and stuff. That's where the real people are.
You
So
arguably should never have stopped. I mean, hitting the bars, you might have needed to stop, but
yeah, yeah, fair,
the
fair.
street team part, it
Yeah.
compounds over time. I just wanted to. I'll shut up. I just heard that, and I.
No, no, yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right because our people that we have, dude, they do so much marketing for us. Like because they just, oh man, you got to go see Josh and Or. You have to see their shop. You have to do that. So yeah, when we get the people in here, that's what I was saying on a call that I was on a couple weeks ago. Is man, we roll out the red carpet here. And Nicole, I believe, like I've had owners like that will not do anything for you. It sucks. But at the end of the day, you do just kind of have to take it, grab the bull by the horns and just ride it out, man. You may end up finding someone like we're all booth rent here. Everybody's booth rent, but I have a specific way of doing things. Everybody in here, when you walk in, you have no idea who the owner is, none whatsoever. We all operate the same way. And like I said, the coffee shop here, big business for our one client. They own another coffee shop in the town up the street here, West Milton. Get out there and hit the pavement, man. It sucks, but it is what it is. I don't know if that answered any questions.
Yeah, I think this is all relevant for everybody right now. I'm really interesting that this topic is kind of this question is bringing up so much. I think we have multiple um, talks to come out of this as well, and I completely relate with you, Josh, as well. What I took from what you're saying though is getting um, finding out where your potential clients are and being there. You have to
Yeah.
get if I was to put yourself if I was to put myself in your shoes right now and I was to go back into tattooing right now, I know that my interest would lie with what my hobby is. It's being on boats. I love being on sailboats, and I would probably just do nautical tattoos. So what am I going to market? I'm going to market every goddamn marina in my area.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the clubs. I'm going to be at the yacht clubs. I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure I'm doing what I want to be tattooing.
Yeah.
So um but that's crucial. And I also come from that. I'm along with Robert here, got 30 over 30 years in. I come from that old school. Yeah, walking the streets, talking to people, being in the shops, getting to know the small businesses in your area, talking to the bartenders, the hairstylists, the other ones that are doing a lot of talking in your town can be some of your best marketing angle out there when things get tough. It's either that or going down the TikTok road,
Right.
at this point. But I noticed a difference in how things are being marketed. And now when we're having this big shakeup right now, especially with, tariffs and how the economy ends up landing on this, it really kind of puts into perspective how your area is going to look. If your area is strong in, say, agriculture per se right now, and that's being affected by, upcoming tariffs or tariffs in place right now, how does that affect the local economy? How does it affect what client base you're looking at or trying to achieve? Things can be shifted and changed, and we have to be proactive in how we look at this. This is not like 2008 or like COVID where it just sprung upon us and we're like, oh shit, what do we do? Like we have a position right now to be a little bit more proactive in our timing right now. And even for someone like Nicole that's in a heavy tourist industry, there's ways to make this happen. I also lived in a heavy tourist industry area during 2008 on the side of town that was affecting construction, which was all of my client base. I ended up opening a shop on the other side of town that was much more affluent, and the people were still going to have money, and that changed everything. So go to where they're at. But we can go down this road of marketing, of course, a whole nother talk as well. But I do want to get through more people here because I think this is interesting what's going to kind of roll out over the next month in tattoo business talks and what's happening today. So, Caroline, you want to share what's going on in your area and what challenges you have?
Where do I begin?
Just give us one.
So, yeah, so it's just very specific to me, like, because I have, like, I'm managing, like, 3 chronic medical conditions and stuff like that. So being able to, like, juggle that with then, running a business and also being the operator, so it's just that constant juggling. Definitely agree, like, with the financial stuff, like between liquidity and the credit and the blah 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 blah. That's also a juggling act. Um, and then I think where I'm struggling probably the most because, like, marketing, whatever, I've been going around, I'm handing out business cards like at the float spa and the coffee house and, like, different places that I'll frequent. One of my other artists, she's, doing the same thing. The other artist too, the apprentice is spectacular. So we basically have, like, our sort of like street team type, guerrilla marketing. That's all good. Trying to get the social media still buttoned down and stuff like that. Because I have my lady that's doing it, she's like in her 50s, but we're gonna all team her up with a girl in her early 20s and have them work together. Because I think it would be really, really interesting because you have the one with the life experience and, being able to manipulate things because she's got the life experience behind her to do it. And then you have the kid basically that, like, grew up with it. So I figured that they could really, really work well with each other and work off of each other that way. But like where I'm completely struggling is with my partner, like with my boyfriend, like trying to get him like in step and on board with just whatever needs to happen to benefit the business. This individual, if they don't want to do it, they don't. It's just like, okay, but your lack of wanting to do it is going to negatively impact everybody else. So just do it. Like I have had multiple conversations and I can't get it to land. So that it's just like, yeah, like what do so basically what we've been doing is just circumventing and doing a workaround and sort of cutting those people out of the loop because they're obviously not a fucking team player, so and to get things moving and going and whatnot, like you have to delegate. You can't just one person can't do it. Like that's what I've been hearing like across the board, like everybody with their bandwidth and stretching themselves too thin and thinking that they have to do it all. It's impossible, like there's have to be able to delegate some responsibilities. Um, yeah, but like when the person that you're trying to delegate to is like the in high school sports, the person who's scared of the ball and you pass them the ball and they fucking duck. That's the person you don't need on your team. So, oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm clearing my throat a lot, so I didn't want to disrupt you there. This is the common problem. It's definitely, especially when it comes to business partnerships as well. It's something I'd love to have a discussion with because this really comes down to who's leading and who is, the one being delegated to, and there's a lot of discussion we can have around this. I like to almost make this a topic for a future talks as well when it comes to communication as well. So, but I do appreciate you sharing that. And I want to keep moving on here. Amanda. And if not Amanda, we got New York. Whoever pops in first. Amanda's popping in.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out which button to press where.
Okay.
I'm having a lot of the problems that other people are having where like lately I've been just sitting in the shop for walk-ins, which looking back at it, that I was curious to see if it would work at all, and it's not working at all. I'm having a lot of $0 days. So I have a night job and my shop too doesn't market. Like the other day I saw someone come in and ask for the same subject of tattoo that is found on my profile. So I'm not sure how that happened. Like, but I'm not gonna start any beef with my owner. I'm just gonna, keep things very, I don't know, as easy as I can keep them. And I tell her what I need to tell her, but that part I was just kind of like, that sucks, So I guess I could be, hitting the streets again with flyers, and that did work for me. And I could be social media. I don't put videos out of myself, so I could do that. I did that once and it didn't, I don't know, it's hard. Like I don't like looking at the camera, talking to myself, or like it's just weird. And then like the whole, yeah, I don't know. It's not my forte. So and then I'm just a year in, so there's a lot of that whole like self-defeating talk in my head of like, you should just quit. This isn't gonna work. Like financially, I see a lot of businesses closing and I'm like wondering, I'm like, oh shit, So I'm just trying to hold on for the ride and deciding if I need to get a full-time job, or if I need to like quit the part-time job or just keep doing what I'm doing, which is kind of like spirally. I'm just like, what do I do? And then I'm like, I don't know. So yeah, it's been a lot to try to figure out. But I mean, I'm trying to work on my Google profile. I've got a sign coming in the mail, and that should put me like verified. I took a video, I put my licenses in the video, and before all I had to do was like verify with a piece of mail. But I've changed locations so many times that I'm like, okay, now I have to put a plaque on the wall. So I'm working on that. And then there's like reinventing the tattoo, some sort of book and Zoom call I was told about. So I'm trying to get onto that. There's a few things. It's just like startup type things. But yeah, the clientele was like, we could figure out how to be proactive. I'm not sure what that is, but like that might be cool. So yeah.
You kind of already mentioned something that was proactive, and it's working with something you've already done that's working.
Yeah.
That's something you have to do. You have to leverage the things that are working and definitely double down on those things, because those are the ones that are going to bring you back to people. Sometimes we'll do that, we'll do it once, and then we just kind of quit it. But we knew it worked. Why aren't we doing it?
Well, I was giving out free tattoos when I was in my apprenticeship, and that really worked. Like I was double booked and stuff like that. So I just don't know how sustainable that is for me, financially.
Oh, no, you have to make money.
Yeah.
All of this when it comes to the marketing angle or things that are like, okay, frustrations of sitting there having $0 days, it's about layering everything. You have to make things happen. I remember a day like, and I know Joshua could probably relate a little bit because, maybe with other industries that he was in, and definitely Robert can relate with this. We did it all. We tried everything back in the day. There was a point when, tattooing for me 25 years ago, especially for being in a tourist town, a lot of people in that tourist town would go to other tourist towns when things were slow. I was just in Ketchikan, Alaska, and I remember how many people that I knew in Tahoe that would tattoo in Tahoe and then go down there for cruise season because there was so much money coming in. So it's a point of like actually getting out there and being active with like finding out where those spots are. We have somebody in here, Rufus. Rufus, I know you're a busy shop and you're looking for people, so there's people out there, that are there. There are shops out there that are busy. It's a matter of finding them. It's a matter of doing everything you can to find out where they're at and choosing, everything you can. I mean, I've worked spring breaks. I've worked in so many states I can't even count at this point because things may have been a little slow. I got insight into going somewhere and I made that happen. So it's and then of course, granted, you're trying to get busy where you're at, but sometimes just putting that energy in the tattooing and building your portfolio right now can really help, gain those client base as well. So it's about trying everything.
Well, how much of promoting the shop is gonna work for me or against me? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So I ended up putting their address on my page because I'm like, maybe that'll work. So I don't know.
Do you have any insight into that question? I don't.
I'm a strong believer in just promoting yourself as soon as possible and doing basically everything you can as if you were a business owner, even if you're working in a shop, because it helps you regardless of where you go, and people stay connected one way or another with you. And I think that's helped me a lot regardless, because wherever I went, they kind of followed, and I would just basically tell them where I was at what shop and whatnot, and just did it as my own thing in another shop.
So like if I have their profile name in the top of my page, I think I took that out because I was like, oh, I don't want the shop to eat and like me to starve. But I don't know, it just hasn't really been working the other way either. So I'm thinking about going back to that.
Yeah, so I mean, if you did it as like Amanda or whatever you go by at, tattoo shop, whatever the name is. I mean, I wouldn't like promote it like huge across the front of my page if that was what you're saying, but definitely so people know where to find you. And it's like your own personal place inside of another shop.
For the most part, if you're like trying to protect your information or your contact info because someone might take advantage of it, you're going to be you end up protecting so much that you miss opportunities and other opportunities, right? Like if there's like somebody that might go to your address because they see you on yours and then go with another artist, like, I mean, I guess you just have to trust in the world that, you know, there's going to be other people that walk in that, you know, you will get, right? But yeah, just in general, like if you're like trying to stop people from contacting you because you're freaked out that they might go somewhere else, it feels like you're gonna might lose more opportunity than gain.
Yeah.
You know, you did say that you put out some flyers and they worked. Was that? But then you like shrugged and kind of moved
Well,
on.
I put them out. I had people come in like pretty quickly, and then I just stopped doing that.
Yeah, so I
So
mean,
I
I
don't
guess for
know.
me, like if I was to hit a lottery, you know, if I was to scratch off a lottery ticket and got like a hit of a 4, then I'd be like, fuck it, that shit, I'm gonna do that shit tomorrow. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, you'll reduce effectiveness, but like,
yeah.
you know, and different areas respond differently. But if you already had people that were responding to your artwork and contacting you through a poster, do that shit once a week.
Well, see, that's what was happening with the other shops I was at. I would put their name in my bio, and the shop would get busy. The owners would get busy,
Say, ask for
and
Amanda, ask for Amanda. Don't, you know, ask for,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Put your name on everything. If you respond to somebody, hi, this is Amanda, or, make
send
sure
me
you,
your
make sure
info.
you ask for Amanda or whatnot. I mean, regardless, if someone goes to the shop and decides to pick a different artist, they're gonna do that regardless. But as much as you can try to make sure that they're gonna ask for you, that's your best approach to that.
Yeah. Short of
Um,
just getting yourself a phone number and having people contact you directly, or sending it to your website consultation form. I mean, there's no reason why. So if that's the issue, like if you have the address, like the address is for people to find you once they know who you are, right? Like,
Mhm.
your contact info and your contact flow should go through you, unless your shop's so awesome and they say, no, you have to go through us. Like all those links should go to an email that go to you that you're putting out,
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you tell them where to find you or where to go.
Well, what happens is I'll say I'm at this shop, and they'll go check out the shop, and then I never see them.
Well,
They get
like
seen.
just say, go to my website, go to, AmandaKernow.com.
Yeah, try to keep everything you can in-house until the point where they're gonna come see you, you know. I don't know if you do your own booking or it's through your shop, but
No, I
regardless,
don't.
you can make it so they basically book through you, but it goes through the shop.
That's why I'm big on recommending that individuals need their own solution and why to go to Tattoo Now. Just
Yeah.
because, like, you're in charge of your client list. There's no reason that you can't have, a web page that's just links. You don't need a special link tree or anything like that. You just have a page that's all your links, and you put that on your Instagram page with your form right there. And then by that time, you're already in touch with them, and they don't have to go to the shop at all.
Correct.
You're saving $100 a month by not doing that. But in reality, I mean, how many tattoos do you have to do to make that $100 back?
So is Tattoo Now like a website that's like for tattoo booking, or what is that?
Yeah, basically, it's like, oh, okay, I forgot this was not that group. Sorry. But yes, it's very helpful. You should definitely check it out.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
One more thing with this, Amanda, is, you got some wonderful tools right now, people reconnecting with these tools. But there was one thing that you really mentioned here from the very beginning, and that was self-doubt that was being created. And that's the one thing that's going to hold you back every time. You can have all the tools in the world, but if you still have self-doubt that's talking in your head, what I'm saying? It's really hard to implement any of this. You have to learn how to act despite that self-doubt that's in your head.
Well,
You
it's
have-
really loud when you sit for a day and nobody comes in. It's like, fuck.
It does, and it'll just keep amplifying. It's kind of like, you become a shit magnet to anything else that's, negative in the world as well when you're doing that. So it's a matter of just getting outside of that. And the best way to do that, to start with, there's many tools out there, but you have to reconnect with your why. Why are you in tattooing? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to be an artist? Reconnecting with that why, and then really looking at the pattern that you're in, especially if you've been sitting all day with a $0 day and how that affects your mood and everything else. You have to find ways to interrupt that pattern. And I know it's kind of difficult at the beginning, but it's just about acting at least on your why right now, and then finding ways to be able to do this. And I do want to have discussions about this in the near future as well, because the psychology around tattooing is 80% of our success. and everything else, our skill set should just really, mirror that as well. And it will. When you have the right energy inside and you know why you're there, people will be attracted to that. And we'll have more discussions about that in the near future. So take the tools, at least what you have right now, and act upon it, despite the fact that you have you have that self-doubt right now. You have to still act, so just remember, one foot in front of the other at this point. You got this, Amanda.
Thanks.
Yeah. Joshua. Oh, I see your
And I
hand up.
said, yeah, just
Yeah,
real quick,
thank you.
because I was listening to her. So one thing that I've learned too is why are you doing this is the most important thing. That's where a lot of our clients are coming from. I can't tell you how many times I've had the people like, man, I've been waiting 7 years for this. I've been waiting 5 years for this. I came across your page and it was everything that I was looking for. The other thing is the call to action. That is huge. So if you have, for example, like 10 designs that you want to do, offer those up at a discount, and anyone else that they may refer, like that client may refer, give them some type of discount. Like, hey, I got this tattoo from Amanda, if she goes and tells two people, those two people want to come in, and you're like, where'd you hear about me? And they say, oh, well, Tiffany told me about you. Great, awesome. We're going to give you 20% off this next tattoo for the referral. So like that has worked a ton for me. And then also the other thing, I know it's only been a year for you, Amanda, but any client that you have tattooed, reach back out to them, ask about their new puppy, ask about the new job, ask about, anything un-tattoo related, just so they know, holy crap, this person was thinking about me. That's wild. I've been thinking about getting another tattoo anyways. So that stuff has worked a ton for me. That's all I really wanted to say.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing that, Joshua. Amanda, when it comes to, the confidence around tattooing and stuff like that, it's going to waver. It's just kind of it's part of the game. You're going to be on ups and downs and, trying everything. But if you try and you are consistent with that, you're going to be keeping your promises to yourself in doing this. And that's really the key to winning this game, especially that psychology game, of that defeat that you're feeling. So remember that confidence is built. It's not something that's always with us all the time. We have to keep working on it. So, New York, do you have a answer to our question today?
So my current struggles are lying a little bit more in the creative department. I feel like lately I've been spending so much time on the admin business side of things that I just haven't had the desire and drive to put as much of myself into my artwork. And it hurts because I don't want that. I want it to be, better than anything I've ever done before. I want every next piece I do to be better than every last piece I did. But I feel like I'm in a bit of a creative rut there because I'm focusing so much more on the everything else about it. And I don't know, I'm just having a hard time coming back to it.
Well, I know people in the room can relate with this one. Anybody want to share maybe some experiences they've had this year about that? Rufus.
So relatable.
So I totally get what you're saying 100%. For me, the best thing I did was I made myself an admin day and I get as much as I can accomplish in that day that has to do with everything business. And it's taken my mind off of the business more during the days that I'm tattooing and gives me that extra time to just focus on the art itself.
I agree with Rufus on this. It's about scheduling, scheduling your admin day or business days and just having that where you're only thinking that, only working towards that. That's great. And then, of course, majority of your time should be about the creativity. It's a really hard juggle in the very beginning, especially when we start going into the admin side of business. We want to get things more efficient. We have goals that we're setting up, and we want to be able to make sure that we're getting across that finish line. So it's extremely overwhelming in the beginning, especially when it starts to take away from our creativity. And the more people that we bring into the picture without those systems in place, it can be even more frustrating as well because we don't feel like things are done in time. So it is a matter of scheduling. It is about time management. It's stuff that I also want to have a discussion with more on this end as well, on maybe some different tools. Does anybody have any current strategies right now, just like Rufus, that they use so they're actually making business happen and still working on the creativity?
I know I talk about it a lot, but if you're on a Mac, there's a program Raycast where it's got a focus mode. And so I'm using it like when I'm focusing on business tasks to try to stop all of the other stuff from interrupting me. You might be able to use it to put yourself in focus mode when you're doing creative stuff to keep all the businessy shit out of your system. But yeah, other than that, that's my plug for Raycast for the day. It's free, so I don't.
I feel like right now my biggest issue is there's not enough hours in the day. Like I have at least 2 hours every morning dedicated to business before I start tattooing. I show up to the shop extra early before anybody shows up, just so I can have a couple hours to focus on all of those things before it gets chaotic for the day. But even spending that 2 hours every fucking morning still feels like it's not enough. It just feels like a never ending amount of stuff that's hard to get on top of instead of keep chasing.
It's a big business to run in less than 12 hours a week. Right? Like that's a lot. You have a lot going on.
I have I have meetings though with the team, and I use my my notes on my phone. So I had the management meeting notes, shop meeting notes, individual meeting notes, and stuff like that. So as I'm going through like my day and I think of something, I can just plug it in and then bring it up at the meeting and then schedule the next meeting. So I just keep the ball rolling and just making sure that like keep on top of stuff. And then using then my social media lady, like just the scheduler. So she's just getting in there and just scheduling everything so that like she just gets everything together, gets it all scheduled, and then doesn't have to worry about it for the rest of the week. Like things like that.
The other thing that I started using that's kind of been helpful, it takes me a little bit to get used to, but it is the Eisenhower matrix. But there's an app called TickTick that works basically just like notes, and you can put them into those categories, and then you know what's like important that you need to take care of immediately and what you don't, and it just keeps track of everything.
Yeah, I'm not so good when it comes to digital note taking because the second I close out of the app, it's out of sight, out of mind. I'm definitely like a physical sticky note kind of guy, and I've got 1,000 sticky notes everywhere.
Get a
different
Callum.
colors for like different important things, and I don't know, but it also just it's hard not to feel like I'm drowning in sticky notes.
I'm like a sticky note person too. So what I did was I got a fucking calendar that just shows me a week at a time. And it has the week on one side and then a note section on the other. And then I put my transfer all my sticky notes into the one page so that it's all in the same spot and like you don't feel like you're drowning and trying to run around after sticky notes. So then it's like, okay, so it feels like more of like a manageable list, and then you're not spending the time trying to find the fucking note, you know? So I've
So
done
this
that.
is a physical calendar that you have somewhere?
Yes,
Do you keep it at your home or at your shop?
in my bag. I carry this with me in
Oh,
my
okay.
purse. So yeah.
ChatGPT can help a ton with scheduling out your day as well, if you haven't used that.
I've tried that, and for me, the problem is my energy expenditure. It cannot keep up with what ChatGPT thinks I can do.
Yeah, okay. Glad you said that because I feel the same exact way. So right back to what he was saying, one foot in front of the other. I will break that all down into like 5-minute tasks whatever chunk I can get done in 5 minutes. I know you were just talking about like the creative side. Do you have like a morning routine, coffee routine, or anything like that?
I'm not a coffee drinker, but I do
Well, that's
drink cold water and play fetch with my dog.
well, that's good. So one thing that helped me when I was struggling with like creating stuff, I bought like a little tiny black sketch pad and like pretty much took that with me everywhere. And I would make myself do something for like 15 minutes. I didn't care what went on the paper. I didn't care if it was doodles, notes, ideas, thought bubbles. I didn't care. As long as I was putting pen to paper, thought to paper, um, I could always come back and be flipping through those chicken scratch ass notes and be like, what the hell? Oh, hey, yeah, I remember. All right, great. So like that has helped me like with like creative, coming up with like creative things, because I will think of a million things on my car ride home, and then as soon as I open my tablet or my notebook, just blank. I just go blank. So ChatGPT has helped me do that. And then just like the little sketch pad that if I find 5 minutes, I rip that thing open and I do something, whatever I'm feeling at that moment, whether it be drawing a little doodle, like I said, taking notes or something like that. Those things have helped me kind of work through the muck of the creative like sluggishness.
And I have those notepads too. I've thought about doing exactly that. My problem is just keeping that notepad with me at all times. Like I don't always have the same backpack. I don't always have the same car. I'm not always in the same spot, and it's like hard for me to just keep it on my physical person. But it is good advice. I do appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll get this out real quick. I'll show you how big it is. Just because, yeah, I get that because I have multiple book bags and everything else. I mean, I could stick that right in my pocket. It came with a little pin.
We might have the
I
same
don't know
exact
where the
one,
hell the
honestly.
pin went, but huh?
Might have the same one. Mine's pretty much the same size.
Yeah, yeah. So like that thing's the size of a wallet to me, so it's nothing for me to throw it in my back pocket and go about my day.
That's the downside to leggings, is there's rarely pockets big enough for those.
Well,
That's
everybody,
fair.
we are at our time right now. There's so many of you that I want to talk to on an individual basis off of this question today. But that being said, there's some future stuff that I really want to have a talk with. James really brought it up in the beginning, financial literacy. We will be having a talk on that within the next month. We're really discuss about how to kind of leverage debt as well. Some of those questions that came up are really important. Mitch, I really enjoyed the finding your niche as well. How we can kind of do this and how we can kind of work with that. It really comes down to marketing and communication, and also asking why. Finding your purpose on this one as well. I'm sorry, Nicole, I'm not allowed to leverage that. That's funny. And then, Nicole and Amanda are kind of sharing kind of the same thing right now. Having those $0 days are very concerning, and something that we should have more of a discussion on. And there's some psychology around that as well that I want to have future discussion on as well. So, and then I've heard some issues when it comes to like, business partnerships, how we delegate, better ways to delegate and communicate with our partners on business, and that really kind of brings up ideas of talks about shop leadership as well, and some other areas. And one of the biggest ones, to business overwhelm, implementing new systems. We need to still be in our creative flow. We still need to be able to find the time for that, because all this work and all these business talks and stuff like that won't matter in the end if we're not still doing what we love. We're here in tattooing for a reason. We have a purpose, and we forget that. And I understand that the business model and the systems in place and doing it all and the juggle is real and it's difficult. It does get easier over time, but it takes time. it takes those small incremental steps to doing all the things that you're learning and implementing and then keeping accountable on the things that you're doing, can free up the time to really give you more time in what you love doing the most, and that's tattooing. So I want to have a talk about creative flow. I know some people here in the room have actually read the book Flow. If you haven't, pick it up. There was also mention about time management with Eisenhower Matrix, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. He was the first one to adopt the Eisenhower Matrix. Wonderful tool to be using. Those are 2 books I highly recommend. And last but not least, if you're in the book club, we have a meetup tomorrow. Our meetup, I think, came through your emails. The links are on there. We will be discussing the book Think Again with Adam Grant. And well, I'm going to just set it at 1 hour. But I have a bunch of questions, and I hope we can have a really good conversation. Some of the stuff that was brought up today will actually be brought up tomorrow as well. So Nicole's saying, I'm not sure I got the email.
Yeah,
but I'll
we'll
look-
send that. We'll make sure another one goes out before
Appreciate that, Gabe.
probably today and tomorrow.
Wonderful. And even if you did not read the book, it might be good to just pop in. It is our first book club meeting. It will be discussing a lot of how we implement this book into the tattoo industry and into our careers. And I think it'd be an advantage for everybody, even if you didn't read the book. Jump in because it'll be relevant. Thank you so much for showing up today. I wasn't expecting this. I really enjoyed today and appreciate everybody really just being vulnerable and discussing all this stuff. I know it's really difficult for a lot of people to really talk about what they talked about today, but it's a good thing you did. And we'll meet up next week. Actually, we'll meet up tomorrow, and then I'll see you guys next week as well. Thanks so much for showing. See you guys.